Hello students, I hope you all are doing fine. Today we are going to start our next chapter, that is the nuclear test. This chapter is about Anjali, who used to live with her father and mother in a nuclear family. She was not aware about the benefits of a joint family. She was very upset when she came to know that her grandparents are shifting to their house. She was not aware that grandparents give us an extra dose of unconditional love and support. She was not aware about the bond shared between the children and the grandparents. Let's read this chapter and find out how Anjali realized the importance of her grandparents in her life. Moving to page number 63. Now let's read about Anjali and how she treats her grandparents when they visit her. Ma, why are you removing all my things from the cupboard? Anjali asked in a voice which sounded like she was ready for a fight. You already know, Anjali. Dada and Dadi are going to need some place for keeping their things. Her mother replied firmly, without the slightest hint of apology. But Ma, where will all my things go? This has been my room since I was a baby. Why should I give up everything just because Dada and Dadi are coming to live with us? Cried Anjali, just as unforgiving. Come on, Anju, you are not giving up everything. You are only going to sleep on the couch in the hall instead of this room. And your things can be accommodated elsewhere, replied her mother, trying to be sensitive but feeling rather exasperated with her daughter's endless objections. This is how it had been ever since Anjali had been told that her grandparents would be living with them from then on. They had recently sold off their land in the little village where they had lived for most of their life. Dada was nudging 70 now and was too old to be able to run the farm all by himself. He had promised he would not leave his beloved land till he died, but he was finding it more and more difficult to live there alone. All his children had migrated to the cities. Two of Anjali's chachajis were abroad. Only Papa lived in Pune while Rita Bhua was in Delhi. Dada had been persuaded by Anjali's father to come and live with them. Papa wanted all of them to be together as a joint family. He could then take care of his aging parents. Of course, Anjali enjoyed meeting her grandparents during her holidays. But that did not mean she was going to be happy giving up her room for them. Anjali was an only child. Never in her life had she liked sharing anything, and she wasn't about to change now. And so it was that when her grandparents came, Anjali was very fussy, irritating, brattish worst. She made a big hue and cry over how she had lost her room. When she wasn't making rude comments, she would not talk much and pretend to be glued to her favorite program on TV. She was not very polite and complained, though not directly, for she was too afraid of her father's wrath. It was true that having grandparents live with them needing adjusting to a new routine. They were used to a different way of life. Anjali's grandparents woke up much before anyone else did and had made things awkward. Dadi was forever doing some puja or another, and if there was objection to onions in the food one day, it was eggs the next. They would not go to eat out at restaurants. They would not watch movies in theaters. They would not enjoy shopping just for fun. They thought strap dresses were too foreign and short skirts totally avoidable. Pop music was noise and ice creams were not good for health. The one thing they did share was an addiction to television, but the programs they watched put Anjali to sleep. Anjali felt as if she had suddenly been imprisoned. The house, all 850 feet of space, suddenly looked too small to Anjali. As the days passed, Anjali's anger mellowed to a guarded truce. It was impossible to remain angry with someone who was so kind. Dadi stopped commenting on her clothes and even bought her a pretty t-shirt when they went sightseeing. TV became a divided schedule of the most unmissable programs on each individual list. Dada helped Anjali with her projects and he was a big help with the maths syllabus. He also got Anjali into the habit of reading the newspaper and they would exchange world views when he walked her to the bus stop every morning. Anjali's mother worked in an office and she left along with her father every morning for work. Breakfast was always cornflakes and it was usually sandwiches for Anjali's tiffin. And when her mother got back in the evening, she was so exhausted that food was never a great culinary journey. But now, Dadi had taken over the kitchen. She actually said she was getting bored of doing nothing. Dadi was a fantastic cook. Suddenly, they were being pampered with the most divine pranthas and sabzi, mithai and pakoras, salads and pickles. Anjali's mother could now slow down a little and rest her feet. She even had more time for her daughter. She was reassured that her child was in the most caring hands possible, till one day when the grandparents announced, "We are thinking of going to Rita's place for a while." Before anyone could say anything, Anjali burst out, "Oh, can I have my room back then? Dada and Dadi, when are you going?" The silence that followed was terrible, and only Dadi had some kind and general words to fill it with. Later, apart from her room, Anjali got the worst firing she had ever received from her parents. Anyhow, she had what she wanted, and in 2 days' time they were a nuclear family again. But it was a lonely achievement. There was no one to come home to but the silly TV. There was no one to talk to. Her mother was again harassed and overworked with no time for anything or anybody. But most of all, the noise and the bustle of one big happy family had faded into silence. The house, all 850 feet of space, suddenly looked too big. When the phone rang the following night, just like they had expected it would, it was Anjali who ran and picked it up to say, "Dada, Dadi, when are you coming back?" So at the end, Anjali finally realized that it's not possible to live without her grandparents. Grandparents are the ones who make our lives grand. It is rightly said that grandparents make the world a little softer, a little kinder, and a little warmer. So, my dear students, always respect your grandparents and give them the love which they need. Thank you.